This is Name Segmenter Part 4. We are picking up where we left off, discussing the miscellaneous section of the filter page in Name Segmenter. And our last discussion was about how to use the birth date ranges, anniversary range here. Moving on down that page, we're in the miscellaneous section. We see the shipping log segment filter option. This relates to the premiums module. If you're using that module, this just simply allows you to create a shipping log segment over in premiums and then link that to Name Segmenter to get a list of names. So basically the shipping log segment becomes your filter for your output in Name Segmenter. The sync user list, it refers to link and sync. If you're using that module, you can get a list of names of people that are set up to sync names in Denari. Suppress reseating is a field that was added primarily because we found that people had forgotten who they had checked that little box for over in the name record. If you're not familiar with that, down at the bottom of each name record there's a little box that says suppress reseating. If you check that box, Denari will no longer send receipts to that individual. So if somebody calls and asks to stop sending receipts, that's one way to handle that. And this then just allows you to find out you can get a list of all those people who have suppress reseating turned on, or only those people who have suppress reseating turned off. And of course, again, by leaving it blank, you're getting everyone, whether they have it turned on or turned off. Has email works the same way. You can get a list of all the people with an email address or all the people without an email address. The profile query, event query, and event registrants fields all refer to online communities if you're using that module. Over there you can create a survey or profile. You can set up events and create queries over there to be able to query people based on those on their answers to those questions, and then link that here to Name Segmenter. For example, you might want to do a mailing to all the people who answered yes to a certain question in a survey or when they signed up for an event. So that allows you to link that survey to Name Segmenter here and then do a mailing or get a list of names of those people. Down here we have the bad addresses field. This refers to the deliverable field over in the name record. So if you do a mailing, for example, and you have the names that come back or mailings that come back because the post office says they're undeliverable, you can go into that name record and check that box or uncheck the box to make it undeliverable over in the name record. This allows you to filter on that. So the next time you do a mailing, obviously you probably want to then remove bad addresses from that mailing. It's not removing the name records, it's removing them from the mailing so that you're not continuously remailing all the people who have bad addresses. And then there are times when you want to keep the bad addresses, where again, by leaving it blank, you can just simply get all the names, whether they have bad addresses or not. This final field refers to e-receipts. And in e-receipts, each donor or name record has the ability to choose their preference. And so they can get printed only receipts, emailed only, or both. This allows you to filter on that field. Now, this field actually wants a number, so you're not going to type the word printed only in there, for example. If you want to get a list of people who have their preference as printed only, you'll put a 0 in that field. Or if we want email only, we'll put a 1 in that field. And then down here they give us an example. If we wanted 2 of these, for example, in this case they're saying printed only and both, then we would enter a 0, 2, again with no spaces there. Now let's close the miscellaneous section. We'll move down to contacts. Contacts refers to the contacts module, and that is really just a to-do list related to your donors. And if you're using that feature, this offers you some fairly simple ways to just get a list of names based on some of those characteristics. And I'm not going to go through all of these characteristics here in the interest of time, but if you're using the contacts module, you'll recognize these. And so again, it just allows you to pick one of these, or more than one of these actually, and turn that into a mailing list that you can use. User-defined fields are fields that you can create to hold information that Denari does not already have a field for. So for example, I've selected here already the field blood type. You might be with the American Red Cross and you need to keep track of people's blood type for some reason. Denari doesn't have a field for blood type. So you can go and create a user-defined field called blood type and then go into each name record and populate that record. And now we want to turn that into a mailing where we want to get a list of names with, in this case, negative O type blood. Now the catch here is you have to enter this here in the same way that you enter it over in the name record. So if you go to somebody's name record and you type in O negative, then that's how you want to type it here. If you type a -O or you do it in some other way, you just need to make sure that you're using it the same way. And then if we want a range of blood types here, in this case we just want O negative for everybody, then we want to put from the high to low would be O negative. If we wanted to say O to something else, we might say AB to O negative, then we could type AB here. And now we're going to get a range of blood types. Denari allows us to use 2 of these user-defined fields in name segmenter at a time. And again, there's that AND operator between them. So if we chose something else here, let's say thank you calls or something like that, it really doesn't matter. Then whatever we put in here, we're going to have the AND operator, which means they both have to be true. Membership refers to a module that can be added onto Denari. Basically just tracks levels of giving for the most part. So you might set up a grid of membership levels, and basically if a donor gives more than say $500, then they're in the XYZ membership group. And that's really all membership does. And here, this allows us to get then a list of those names. So we might choose here in the low priority level the gold membership, and over here the high priority will choose gold membership again, and that will give us a list of all those names. We can also filter here by membership expiration date. Sometimes memberships do expire, and you want your donors to kind of renew those memberships, so there is an expiration date that you can filter on here as well. This phone, mail, and email codes we actually don't use anymore in Denari. They've been replaced by other things, and so this is kind of a legacy section here, and you won't use that. Sponsorship refers to the sponsorship module. Again, if you're using sponsorship, these fields will make sense to you. But basically it allows us to take very basic sponsorship characteristics and turn those into a list of names through name segmenter. Now most of your information is going to come from the sponsored name segmenter or pledge segmenter, but this does allow you some basic way to get just a list of names based on some of these filters, as you can see here. However, if you're not using sponsorship, you still can use this field. For example, if you wanted to do a mailing to all the people who have open pledges, for example, you can simply select that. You don't have to necessarily have sponsorship turned on or have anything to do with sponsorship. Denari at this point is just looking for open pledges. So that makes it an easy way to get a list of open pledges. Or you might want to get a list of closed pledges, or however you want to do that. But again, it does give you a very basic way to use that pledge information here. So that finishes the filter page of Denari. We're going to move on here in the next segment to the output page, but I just want to reiterate and emphasize the fact that you don't have to use any of these filters. As we said in the beginning, if you create a name segment and put in no filters, you get everyone. And that's an important concept, because it means that you only use the filters here that are relevant, or the ones that you want. So again, a common mistake that we've seen quite often is that people want or feel like they have to put things into this segment in order to get information out. And in fact, you're starting with everybody and just reaching in and pulling out those people that the filters identify. And then the second thing is, remember that all the filters that we've looked at here, with the exception of those ones we talked about in the classifications, have an AND operator between them. So that simply means that each one has to be true. So filter 1 and filter 2 means that both of those filter conditions have to be true in order for that name record to show up in the output. And the more filters you put into this segment, the more ANDs you have, usually the smaller your list of names becomes, because more things have to be true in order for that record to show up in the output. So again, that finishes our filter section, and we'll move on to the output tab here in the next section.